Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. What a week for the Reds. Arne Slot has lifted the lid on Liverpool's $450 million transfer spree, and it's got everyone talking. From bold predictions to injury setbacks before the Chelsea clash, there's drama, decisions, and dreams at Anfield. Stay tuned as we break down the real reason behind the spending, Slot's tough choices, and the Rolls-Royce defender Liverpool's eyeing next. Let's dive right in, Reds! Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Arne Slot reveals real Liverpool reason for $450 million transfer spree. We didn't shut our eyes. Liverpool may have won the Premier League last season, but Arne Slot says events in the second half of the title-winning campaign were instructive. Arne Slot admits Liverpool are struggling to adapt to a new style of play he believes became clear was needed on their way to winning the Premier League title last season. The Reds go into the weekend top of the table, however. There are question marks over their form, having lost back-to-back games for only the second time under Slot. With last weekend's 2-1 defeat at Crystal Palace, followed on Tuesday by a 1-0 Champions League reverse against Galatasaray in Istanbul. Inconsistent performances earlier in the campaign were masked by a number of late winners, with Liverpool still to find their rhythm, having brought in almost $450 million worth of new players in the summer. And Slot, whose side are at Chelsea on Saturday evening, has explained the spending spree was primarily sparked by an acceptance the Reds had started to find it difficult breaking down opponents from open play last season. We were very happy winning the league, but we didn't shut our eyes for the second part of the season. How many times we needed a set piece to win? Which is not something bad, because Arsenal and Chelsea are needing a set piece almost every single game at the moment, the Liverpool head coach said. That's why we also had the window that we had, sometimes to replace, sometimes to add a certain quality. And it's up to us to show that we can do better in these kind of games than we did in the second part of last season and the first part of this season. Slot added, in the meantime, we almost won every single game this season. But the margins are not the same anymore as the first part of the last season, with 3-0 against Bournemouth, 6-3 at Tottenham, and 5-0 at West Ham. And then you depend a bit more on luck or bad luck or on a set piece. We are trying to go to a situation where we don't need a set piece to win a game, or we don't need someone to fall on the ground to get a penalty, or a referee to do extra time of extra time of extra time. That is something we dislike. With Alisson Becker out for several weeks with a hamstring problem, Georgi Mamardashvili will make his Premier League debut following a $29 million summer arrival from Valencia. Slot is hopeful forward duo Hugo Ekitike and Federico Chiesa will be available after the former was forced off against Galatasaray and the latter missed out altogether, while Mohamed Salah, Alexander Isak, Alexis McAllister, and Connor Bradley are all pressing for a recall after being benched in midweek. Arne Slot now has unexpected decision to make as injury angst speaks volumes. In the latest Blood Red column, Ian Doyle looks at the tough decisions soon approaching Arne Slot over Hugo Ekitike and Alexander Isak's importance of a player to a team can usually be measured by the howls of anguish that greet their potential unavailability. So when one Liverpool player was led from the field by the medical team on Tuesday after undergoing lengthy treatment, the angst could probably be heard all the way from Merseyside to Istanbul. Except this isn't Alisson Becker. Although the sight of the goalkeeper holding up his hand to request attention after yet another hamstring injury prompted an audible sigh of resignation among Liverpool supporters. Instead, the reaction to Hugo Ekitike being forced to depart the Champions League clash against Galatasaray long before the final whistle underlined how the France international has taken little time, making an impact following his arrival from Eintracht Frankfurt in the summer for a fee that could eventually reach $79 million. Fortunately, Ekitike ultimately appeared to be suffering from simply a bout of cramp and, having trained on Friday, is expected to be available for this evening's trip to Chelsea, and the Stamford Bridge clash represents potentially the first real indication of where Arne Slot sees the 23-year-old fitting into his attacking plans for the foreseeable. Fair to say Ekitike has surpassed expectations. It would have been testing enough to follow Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota, and to a certain extent, Luis Diaz without Liverpool also pursuing a deal for Alexander Isak. But Ekitike made the most of the understandable delay in Isak eventually moving to Anfield, netting in his opening 3 games, the first Liverpool player to do so since. Daniel Sturridge, in 2013, before the Swede made his 125 minutes transfer, and with Isak still finding his feet after a summer spent in training isolation, Ekitike continued to step up with a derby goal against Everton and a late winner in the League Cup clash against Southampton. Both player and team have benefited. That he was then sent off for a second bookable offense when removing his shirt in. Celebration was a rare misstep during a hugely encouraging few months as a Liverpool player, Ekitike's subsequent absence through suspension for the Premier League defeat at Crystal Palace highlighted his importance to this evolving team. The Reds missing his physical presence, ability to hold up the ball, and, of course, sent for goal during a 2-1 defeat. His lively showing before departing in Istanbul emphasized the fact, but Isak wasn't bought as a British record 125-meter striker to sit on the bench. His playing minutes are gradually being increased. Isak has featured in Liverpool's last 5 games, and his almost anonymous display as substitute against Galatasaray, in which he had only 4 touches, proved he and his new teammates need to adjust to one another. That, as Slot has previously insisted, will only come from time on the pitch. And with Isak having scored 4 times in his last 5 appearances against Chelsea, it would be no surprise if he is given the nod at number 9 this evening. There is, though, a strong argument that on-form Ekitike should be the starting central striker, even if few could grumble if Slot errs on the side of caution and restricts him to bench duty. The Frenchman has shown he can make a difference as both starter and substitute, but Ekitike was bought with versatility in mind and could line up on the left or as a second striker. He is giving Slot options, even if he has spent just 6 minutes together on the pitch with Isak. Given, for varying reasons, both may not be at required fitness and sharpness levels for Chelsea, the big call may have to wait, sooner rather than later, though Liverpool will settle on their optimum attack, and Ekitike has done his cause no harm for inclusion, either with or without Isak. Liverpool eyes Rolls-Royce defender as Mark Guehi slips down shortlist. A fresh Liverpool transfer rumor sees the club linked with a move for Mark Guehi's central defensive partner at Crystal Palace. With Maxence Lacroix highly rated by Reds scouts, Liverpool is reportedly eyeing another Crystal Palace center-back, with Maxence Lacroix now said to be at the top of its summer shortlist. The Reds saw their move for Mark Guehi fall through on deadline day, but he is not the only center-back at Palace that is attracting interest from elsewhere. Football Insider says that some Liverpool scouts view Lacroix as a Rolls-Royce of a defender, who is an attractive option due to his under-the-radar status. Liverpool has reportedly turned to Lacroix after accepting that there are no guarantees that Guehi will end up at Anfield, following his collapsed move this summer. Lacroix, though, is contracted to Palace until 2029, meaning it would likely take a significant offer to prize him away from Selhurst Park. Guehi will be available on a free transfer when his Palace contract expires next summer, and while he was keen to move to Liverpool in August, it remains to be seen whether he will move to Merseyside in a year's time. Guehi spoke about his failed move to Anfield earlier this week and explained why he has seemingly been able to bounce back from the disappointment. With ease, Guehi thought he had secured the transfer he had been waiting for all summer when Liverpool and Palace agreed a fee on deadline day, only for Palace to pull the plug on the deal at the 11th hour over Oliver Glasner's concern that his club captain leaving would leave the Eagles too light in defense. The sun goes up, the sun comes down. Life goes on, Guehi said. That's my mindset, and if you adopt that mindset in most things, you just get on with life and move on. Fortunately for me, I'm at a football club that has helped me and given me so much, so it does make it that much easier. Asked by TNT Sports what helped him cope with the situation, Guehi added, having my family there the whole time, friends, people that have always been there for me, and then the football club. People that you come in to work with every single day, staff, teammates, they are always there. So when they're joking and laughing and smiling, it just makes it easy, to be honest. It's been really good in that sense. Florian Wirtz made very bold prediction to coach long before Liverpool transfer. Florian Wirtz harbored ambitions of reaching the very top of the game from a young age, and his former youth coach at his old club has praised the Germany international. Florian Wirtz's youth coach at FC Köln has recalled how the youngster pledged to win the Ballon d'Or. When he was just a young boy, Wirtz emerged as one of the best young players in the world during his time at Bayer Leverkusen, but he was actually developed a few miles away from Leverkusen in the German city of Cologne. Wirtz spent 10 years in Köln's academy between 2010 and 2020 before joining Leverkusen, and it was after a game for one of Köln's youth teams, in which he scored a stunning goal, that he told his coach at the time of his lofty ambition. I first heard the name of Wirtz in a very early situation in my last club, FC Köln. Marcus Dawn, a youth coach at Köln, recalled. All the guys in the youth team talked about a big player in the under-12s. I had a very special moment with him in the last game before a winter break. We played against a small club and he started the game in very bad conditions, a lot of rain and wind. It was awful, but he started the game with the first touch. He shoots from about 70 meters into the goal. After this game, we go for a dinner and the guys of the team ask me late in the evening, "Mr. Dawn, can we drink a beer?" And I said, "I don't know if you can do it. I'm not allowed to say you can do it. But you can go in another room and I don't see it." And so they drink 2 or 3 beers, and after this, Florian came to me and was a little bit happy about his goal, and he said, "Mr. Dawn, I like you very much." I asked him in a meeting about his career goals. All the guys from the team said, "I will be German championship winner this year. I will be in the starting and Florian said, "I will win the Ballon d'Or in the future." And I said, "Okay." Normally I would say, "Okay, please stay realistic," but in this case I said, "Okay, go your way and you can achieve it." This guy has had big challenges in his life. Between very young ages to under 17, with big injuries, he broke his leg. But he comes back much stronger than before. That's because of his focus and his mentality. I knew from the beginning that he will go his way until the top of the world. Liverpool injury news and expected return dates ahead of Chelsea clash after Alisson blow. Liverpool returned to Premier League action this weekend with a trip to face Chelsea, but Arne Slot is facing an injury crisis with a number of key players on the sidelines. Liverpool returned to Premier League action this weekend, where they will be desperate to end their run of 2 successive defeats. The Reds have lost their last 2 matches against Crystal Palace and Galatasaray and will be wanting to get all 3 points when they travel to face Chelsea on Saturday. Arne Slot's side sit pretty at the Premier League summit with 15 points, but face the prospect of slipping beneath title challengers Arsenal should the Gunners triumph over West Ham on Saturday afternoon. Liverpool are hungry to secure their first win since beating Southampton in the Carabao Cup last week, with their most recent Premier League success arriving against Everton last month. Nevertheless, Slot faces the challenge of selecting a Liverpool'S with numerous crucial stars ruled out through fitness concerns. The Reds head coach provided an update on the squad when talking to reporters at his pre-match press conference on Friday. Here, Mirror Sport takes a look at the latest Liverpool injury news and return dates ahead of the trip to Chelsea in the Premier League. Alisson Becker faces several weeks on the treatment table following a hamstring injury that he sustained against Galatasaray. The Liverpool shot-stopper is reportedly set to face up to 6 weeks on the sidelines, casting doubt over his availability before November's international window. Alisson is not a part of the squad tomorrow, and he's not going to travel to Brazil as well for the national team, Slot said on Friday. So he will be out for Saturday. How long he is out depends also on how fast a recovery goes. So, Saturday it's clear, he's not going to play for Brazil, and I would be surprised if he would be there in the first game after the international break, home to Manchester United on October 19th. But from there on, sometimes things can go a bit faster or a bit slower. It's always difficult to say the amount of days and weeks, but for the upcoming games, he will not be part of us or the Brazil team. Potential return date: November, Hugo. Ekitike, Hugo. Ekitike became a fitness concern for Liverpool after being substituted during the loss to Galatasaray in midweek. However, Slot confirmed on Friday that Ekitike is expected to participate in training before the showdown with Chelsea. Hugo is going to train today again, and let's see where he is. And the same can be said for Federico Chiesa, Slot said on Friday. We have to wait and see after the session where exactly they are. Potential return date: Chelsea, A. October 4th, Premier League, Federico Chiesa. Federico Chiesa was absent from the clash against Galatasaray due to an knock, but may return against Chelsea. Slot revealed that he expects to have Chiesa back in training on Friday, hoping he will be available to face Chelsea. Potential return date: Chelsea, A. October 4th, Premier League. Giovanni Leone sustained an ACL injury during Liverpool's victory over Southampton in the Carabao Cup third round last week. The defender, who recently joined from Parma, made his debut in the game but is now expected to be on the sidelines for several months.